Sri Lanka is a country with a rich and ancient history spanning thousands of years. One of the most famous historic capitals is the sacred Buddhist city of Anuradhapura. This city is estimated to be 2,500 to 3,000 years old. It was the nation's capital from the 4th century BC until the 11th century AD. There is a tree on the site that is supposedly a cutting from Buddha's Tree of Enlightenment. Some of the best preserved vestiges of old Lankan society are here. Anuradhapura is a city of great history, religious importance, and serene beauty. The city of Polonnaruwa has been an important part of Sri Lanka's national history. This historic site is filled with ancient and remarkable monuments to the country's rulers. Between the 11th and 13th centuries, it served as Sri Lanka's imperial capital. Though the carved stone relics of this time show their age, they are still regal figures. The city was a major site of agricultural growth, with a revolutionary irrigation system. These days, it is a UNESCO heritage site and is within reach of several neighboring towns. One of the most remarkable fortresses in the world, visible above trees and buildings for miles around, is in Sri Lanka. This is Lion Rock, which once held a carved lion guarding the stairs, the paws of which are still visible. The stairwell leading up the rock has ancient painted murals, many featuring images of beautiful women. These frescoes date back many centuries and were at one time part of a much larger display covering hundreds of feet. On top of the Lion Rock are the remains of the fortress palace that once stood there overlooking the area. Surrounding Lion Rock are several beautiful gardens, including a water garden, a rock garden, and a terraced garden. Enshrined in Kandy, Sri Lanka is quite possibly the most important piece of oral anatomy in the world. As white as the relic it holds, the Temple of the Tooth is said to be the resting place of one of Buddha's teeth. The current temple building was constructed in the 18th century and has been reconstructed and repaired several times since. Before it was enshrined here, the tooth was carried, protected, and smuggled all over India, passing in and out of various palaces and temples. Today, the tooth is actively used in different ceremonies and rituals, which occur on a frequent and regular basis. Many people, not just Buddhists, come to the Temple of the Tooth to see both the holy relic and the beautiful building.
Repeat. Later going. Going. White snake, cobra, white cobra.
White cobra. Cobra bite 45 minutes, 1 hour like this sleep. Now they don't want
Vilken är konstnär? Vilken är konstnär?
to. Go to the nearest. Stuck in the middle.